Okay, let's see. We are at 1,350 days today. There is no sign of life. Um, so let's get on here and see if everything's working right. I see. Okay, everything's great. It's going to be burning the midnight oil. I started coming on at 10:30. My time. I'm on the East Coast. Um, but lots happening. We have breaking news, of course, with when it comes to Bob Moore. I've been mentioning it for a few days, and he's no longer the editor of El Paso Matters. El Paso Matters put out on the 29th of March an article um, notifying the public that Cindy Ramirez was now the editor of El Paso Matters, which is huge. It's really big news, and I can tell you, for us, we might have the answer of why that happened. And I see that we're on. If anyone has a comment or a question, um, please, that would be so nice. Okay, why do we feel that um, this might be that we might have the answer of why Bob Moore was removed from being the editor, which is the top position, right? For El Paso Matters, it's the top position. He's no longer the top dog. Cindy Ramirez is. So, what does this mean? And what did he do? What did he do to lose that top dog position? Um, you know, uh, because attack dog at that one. Um, and so, maybe we just kind of jotted down some things, and we discovered a timeline. And that's why, we just had to wrap our head around it a little bit of what we know, to elaborate this timeline so that you will understand what's going on and why possibly Bob Moore lost his top dog, attack dog position at El Paso Matters. Um, and that's why we're coming on a little bit late. So it all starts with the Walmart case. Okay? It all starts with the Walmart case. Remember that El Paso Matters started in 2020. It started in 2020. So why did it start with the Walmart case? Because El Paso Matters is a group. It is owned by El Paso Community Foundation, okay, which is a charitable organization, which is, really confusing to us. Why does a charitable organization that has a 509(a)(3), right, as a charitable organization, because there's and what did I cite right there? I'm citing IRS privileges, right? When you have these designations or whatever they're called, then you get privileges. You don't have to pay taxes, right? You so why would they be owning El Paso Matters? And we believe that it was to control the narrative of the fake narrative, the psych, the hypnosis, like in Jungle Book, you have that snake. I don't know what the snake's name is. The snake, it's a boa, right? It's a boa, and it's a snake, and it hypnotizes with its eyes, and Mowgli's going, oh, like this, and everyone's like, no, Mowgli, don't be hypnotized by the snake, because the snake is going to want to wrap you up and squish you and eat you, right? That's kind of what is happening to El Paso and the wider area, and even in our, especially El Paso, but this is an international when there's a mass shooting, right? And they wanted to keep, it's definitely a national, keep uh, the hypnosis going to wrap El Paso around like it's a, like, be the boa constrictor and constrict its knowledge, so that they can eat you. They can get that money. They can get your money. They can control the money. They can control your mind. This is, you know, you can tell I have 9 grandchildren, and but I hope that's a good analogy of what's going on here. So, El Paso, what is so important about Bob Moore's group? Bob Moore's group, before El Paso Matters, Bob Moore's group um, controlled the money coming in from donations, the money coming in from the officer of the governor, Governor Abbott. Also by the Hunt Group, because the Hunt Group is a big part of the El Paso Community Foundation, because I believe it's his bank, West Star Bank, that is gets the deposits, right? That's what banks want. They want deposits. So yeah, they were in control of that. So uh, Bob Moore's group was in control of the money. Um, and it's strange that you have a private Hunt Group money coming in, then you have a government entity like the Office of the Governor money coming in, and then you also have all these donations coming in. And this is a charitable group, right? So they need to have oversight, because there has to be oversight. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope into corruption. And we have information because of Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia targeting our son's case, targeting our whistleblower, our witness, and witnesses, and and targeting in many different ways, with witness intimidation, with the obstruction of justice. I'm going to leave it to the lawyers to figure out what all they violated, but it's really bad, and it's so emotional, because why would they want to do that? Richard is a missing soldier, right? But they targeted the group, and Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia um, targeted the group. And so, of course, we looked into her. Who is she? What does she want with Richard? Does she know where Richard is? What's going on? Does her sons know where Richard is? Does her daughter? What's going on? And we found out that she was illegally getting money from Bob Moore's group, from monies designated to the victims of the Walmart mass shooting. But yet she was getting them. And El Paso Matters, when it came on, then I guess defended her. But in actuality, she's not a victim. She wasn't there. And her and Alexander Gerhard Hoffmann Roth were divorced in 2001, I believe. 2001. So they've been divorced for a long time. They were not living together, right? We have that information through, through all of this. We have put out so many requests for open records, and everybody that is involved in this case, and with agencies and everything, absolutely knows that we have put out numerous open records requests to find out what happened. So, and we know for sure that Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is not a victim at all when it comes to the Walmart mass shooting case. Okay? She's not. And yet, she received $70,000. Really, yeah, let's just keep it there. Let's just keep it at that. $70,000 is a lot of money. Um, and it was to illegally give somebody. So Bob Moore's group illegally gave Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia monies that were supposed to go to like the little baby that had broken bones because his parents were shot and fell on top of him. Now he has no parents, broken bones, and from what we have, and maybe El Paso Community Foundation can correct us, but what we know is that that baby has not received any money. Yet Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia received $70,000. Why is that? Why is that? So this is illegal when she's not even a victim. She's not even a victim. If she was a victim, okay, that's what the money is there for, right? But something is going on. So we have intelligence because, you know, I was born there at White Sands. My dad was ADA. My dad has a lot of ADA friends. Um, Rob was in the Army for 30 years. His dad was in the Air Force there at Biggs. So intelligence is telling us that Alexander and my parents belonged to the German American Club there because, of course, my mom being German, even my dad, um, we have that connection with the Germans there that were stationed. And they just now, I think maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, that got closed down. But for years and decades, the Germans were there. Um, and Alexander Gerhard Hofmann Roth was there. Uh, and he married Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. They were divorced. Um, but he was there. And so we have intelligence that he also was known to the El Paso Community Foundation founders. Okay? He was known. Maybe through his businesses, maybe through his giving of funds, maybe for receiving funds, for his engineering skills. We don't know, but our intelligence is that, he was known. And what Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia getting money from Bob Moore's group shows that they knew each other. They knew each other. That's the point. That's the point. Okay. Which is like shocking. It's so shocking when you really wrap your head around that level of criminality. So that happened. Now, El Paso Matters, voila, came to be. And Yvonne Rosales picked up on it that Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia was illegally getting monies that were supposed to go to victims, true victims of the Walmart mass shooting. And so her team, okay, so her office, her district attorney's office, because it's a team there, including Curtis Cox, okay? And Curtis Cox, he's interesting because they really outed him. So Yvonne Rosales, so they targeted Curtis Cox, they targeted Yvonne Rosales. So it's clear her office was investigating Bob Moore's group, was investigating Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. You see that in the newspapers. Okay. This is all when you're reading through the newspapers trying to make heads and tails of what's happening. Well, they were investigating her, and the money that she was receiving from victims' money for the Walmart mass shooting. So that, they had to. What happened next? Bob Moore, after that investigation started. So Bob Moore's group is giving Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia money, illegal money, that's supposed to go to the likes of like the little baby with the broken bones, no parents, the little orphan, right? And my heart is very, very for little orphans, right? And then there is an investigation going on. And then Bob Moore, having El Paso Matters now, but he starts publicly discussing, even like on Facebook, removing Yvonne Rosales. Okay, so that makes sense. That's retaliation now. Retaliation for Yvonne Rosales doing her job. And that's why we have been backing, let's just say, on not listening to all of the smear campaign that was levied against Yvonne Rosales. Because when we really read between the lines, it's very clear that she was getting retaliated against for actions like wanting to bring the Walmart case forward, like wanting to bring Richard's case forward, like wanting to investigate Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, why she was getting money, illegal money, from money that was supposed to go to victims. So that, and then all of a sudden Bob Moore, gets his hair on the back of his neck raises up, and he's upset, and so he goes and starts talking publicly like he did the other day when we received the body cam footage of Richard. He went on. We've been trying to talk with him almost a dozen times, if not a dozen times, maybe more now, trying to get him to stop obstructing justice in our son's case. And yet, when we got the video, that absolutely shows how beautiful Richard is. Absolutely shows how beautiful he is. He gets on the site where the criminals are, where probably the murderers of Richard are, definitely the people that cover up. He gets with them, sides with them, and says, it starts attacking us or targeting us. And so this is his standard operating procedure. Yvonne Rosales starts looking into why Bob Moore's group is giving money illegally to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, and he then starts talking about how to remove her. And of course, Justin Underwood says, with the right lawyer, who turns out to be Omar Carmona. And I made a meme with it. So it all starts making sense when you put all the little pieces together. And I have my notes here. So his group, we know, is under investigation from Yvonne Rosales' office. And, that is very, very important. And so what happens is that's not enough he starts talking about how to remove her. And so then when they start developing a plan, one of the parts of the plan, we believe, in our opinion, is that he can get Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia to start making false allegations about Yvonne Rosales, because then he's starting to run these stories, these false stories, these fake stories, these attack stories, that he's the big dog. He's the big attack dog, right? He's the big attack dog now at El Paso Matters. Even though he asked the IRS to be neutral so he can get the 501c3 tax free, but he's owned by a charitable organization that is illegally getting money to Rosa Maria, and they're under investigation. And so now he's the big attack dog at El Paso Matters, and he gets Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia to join his pack, to join his attack dog pack, and start yelping false accusations against Yvonne Rosales and targeting our son's case. Whoa. And he starts running fake stories, false stories. And then he gets Leilani Hart to join the pack and be an attack dog, right? Join the pack and be a dog that attacks. Yeah, that's how that worked. So, with all that knowledge, and I think that this is what his group finally realized, is that he's a liability and too risky. He's just violated too many laws and regulations and standard and privileges. So, yeah, that's why I think that he was removed. Maybe I'm wrong, but from this point of view, from this standpoint, I think that that's why they removed him. So I hope that really helps. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is I've been getting a lot of questions and concerns about April 8th, the 2024 eclipse. And, this is right up my alley, April 8th, 2024. And remember when Richard went missing, we were just given so many things, smearing. Like the first thing they smeared him is, he's an atheist. And I'm like, I don't care. Where's my son? Why are you talking this? Right? Why are you talking this? We had to remind them over and over and over again the command that they have a missing soldier. Where is he? From the barracks room that was under 24-hour security detail, and he's missing, and you have a security issue on Fort Bliss, and he's a whistleblower, and he's missing, and all you're doing is this stupid stuff. And part of the stupid stuff was the COVID measures, the COVID nonsense. And of course, we, at that time, it was very, very sensitive because people were very afraid. It really worked for a lot of people to psychologically. This was an asymmetric warfare tactic, and a lot of benefits came out of the whole Cobra Strike, virus scare, and I might get deleted for saying it. I don't know, but during that time, it has been proven they don't even have any to prove that they even exist. So why are people getting sick? That's the question, right? Um, but my thing is there's a lot of that kind of talk going on again, and go back to those years and buckle up, put on your boots and everything, because they're going to try put on your glasses or some kind of protection so that you're not hypnotized into that fear mongering again, because they're going to try to monger you again with health scares. And that is something that we absolutely know now, that it was asymmetric warfare tactic. um, Plenty of doctors out there, plenty of scientists out there now that are telling the truth. And I hope that you do your due diligence in that, because fear is a way they control you. They control you by hypnotizing you, by scaring you half out of your wits. And we were telling everybody, look, we have our son is missing. So we don't care about any of that. We don't care. We'll take the chance. We're going to go over to Juarez to look for our son. We'll talk to anybody. We will not cover our face. We will not stop hugging people. We won't do the 6 feet apart, because we have to find and do what it takes to find our son. And, so we demonstrated that you can go to some of the dirtiest places, talk to so many different people, stand in line with so many different people, um, hug people, cry with people, pray with people, pray with people, hold hands with people, and everything's okay, right? Everything's okay. But that the fear can be very, very damaging, can be deadly. And I learned that by living in Ireland, in the countryside, in the Midlands, where there's a lot of sheep. And sheep do not have to be bitten by a dog to die. They just have to be frightened to death. So they'll have a heart attack. The dog will chase them, bark at them. They'll have a heart attack. They'll be, the dog will grrr, like this, and they'll have a heart attack and they'll die. And it is the saddest thing to see. It is so sad. Um, all we like sheep, right? All we like sheep. So that was a huge lesson in our life, especially during the COVID measures. And then you go into these offices of the command, and as soon as you get into a private office, they drop the whole thing, because they know it's a sham. They know it's a sham. It was a sham. It was election interference, absolutely, and it was interference in the search and investigation in our son, and so many other things. And I think it was also to divert attention to the botched El Paso mass shooting. That was also a diversion from the audits, because of whistleblowers like Richard, that knew that there was weapon trafficking, child sex trafficking, the child pornography going on, the illegal narcotics trafficking, and and the money laundering, because all of that is to make money, right? They'll do the most evilest thing to make money, and then they make all this porn, right? They make all this porn to make money. That really went up. That really went up during the COVID measures. Yeah, okay, whatever. They're so concerned about our health. What about our mental health? What about our spiritual health? What about our economic health? It was just such a farce. So, and I've been very outspoken with it, because I feel like that's what we need. We need to say the truth. And so this whole thing with the scaring of April 8th, the 2024 eclipse. Um, I want to hopefully uh, take some of the fear away. Now, is it going to be a big event? It is a big event. It is a big event, and I'll tell you why it's a big event. Um, so this is like a little um, interest of mine. You could call it a hobby of mine. Um, I just think it's amazing being being a make sure that I'm where I need to be here with my notes. Being see here, I'm trying to find my notes here. Yeah. So, um, being a Christian, and everyone knows, I just think evolution is just a farce. It's just stupid, absolutely stupid. Um, I was a math major. A trillion is a big, 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 big number. The way they do this economy today is, it's like, what? People must not know numbers. I don't know, but $1 trillion for defense is absolutely outrageous fraud, waste, and abuse. Um, and if we were really getting our money's worth, we wouldn't have the problems we have today, right? We should have the best roads, the best bridges, the best teams to repair bridges, the best road teams, the best, uh, you know, free electricity, probably flying cars. Who knows what all the inventions and everything that what are we, $36 trillion in debt, maybe more? I don't know. I haven't looked lately, but it's trillions of dollars, and we don't have anything to show for it. We've been robbed. We've been absolutely robbed, and we're getting robbed. And so this whole thing with the false narratives are just peddled to us every day, every day. And so with Richard's case, we knew that we were getting peddled false narratives because of the way their actions were. Their actions were not what protocol required them to do. It was a cover up, everything. So this thinking about eclipses, thinking about the stars, about constellations, all of this, the May Day, the May Day poll and all of that. For years, Christmas and everything, people say, oh, that's so pagan, that's so pagan. Easter's pagan, the stars are pagan, the constellations are pagan, this is pagan, this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Give me a break. You're trying to divert um, the attention. You're trying to make Christianity pagan by us not observing what God has created and what God has done. And so absolutely. I'm a big Christmas tree, and Easter and bring in those bunnies and the butterflies. And because if you've lived in Ireland again, you know that during Easter, the bunnies are everywhere. They're going crazy. They're going crazy trying to find a mate. And so the springtime is beautiful. It's new life all over the place. And of course, who gives us life? Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, by overcoming death, um, by breaking through that tomb, right? Breaking through that tomb and resurrecting. So, it's kind of like, uh, they take away your joy and your celebration of things and try to hypnotize you in this thinking. And when it comes to the stars and the moon and the sun, and one of the things that blew me away, um, through this whole thing is they said if they lie to you, if they lie to us about the moon, they're lying to you about your sun. And that blew me away. That made me really think. That was one of the best tips out of all of this because it makes you not fall for the hypnosis, right? For all the false narratives, and it makes you really try to discern everything. And of course, we're humans, so we have to check, check, check all the time. But so going to this April 8th, 2024 eclipse, um, it is not pagan. Okay. Do the pagans use it? They always want to circumvent what God has made, right? These witches and warlocks and these Satanists and all that, they always want to circumvent. They always want to twist and turn and, take what they have not created, but what God has created, and they want to degenerate, right? That's why we call them degenerates, because they want to make the world a worse place. And God has called us to make the world a better place. And so, they always are going to do the opposite. So, what I tell my family is to enjoy that eclipse, that amazing eclipse. And I'll tell you why. Because that eclipse happened 18 years, 10 days ago. That eclipse happened 36 years and 20 days ago. That same, because the eclipse, there's about 70 eclipses. Okay? There's about 70 eclipses. And guess what they do? They repeat. They repeat. They repeat. It's kind of like a cut and paste. A cut and paste of 70 eclipses over the period of 18 years, 10 to 11 days. All right? Because the sun has a 365-day cycle for the seasons, and the moon has a 354-day cycle for the phases for a year. So, so there's a 10, 11-day difference there. And so the eclipse cycle of 70 eclipses, and sometimes there's a little difference, but you can count on that it all comes back again perfectly. 70 eclipses every 18 years and 10 to 11 days. Okay, so that is amazing. I even have it written down here, the years, but so 2024, in that 18-year cycle, and April 8th, that eclipse is eclipse 1. So if you take the eclipses and you number them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 70, and then you cut and paste them every 18 years because they never leave their line. They never leave their line. The eclipses that happened in year 1 are the same eclipses that repeat again in year 1 in the next 18-year cycle, and then the next 18-year cycle. Team 1, think of them as teams. You have team 1, team 2, team 3, all the way to team 18. And they never trade. They don't trade. They stay on their team. And it is amazing. And that's why scientists can pinpoint the exact type of eclipse, the exact day, when you look at it, they're saying April 8th, 2024 at 2:11 p.m. I mean, it's a timestamp. It's amazing. It's a timestamp. And we know that April 8th is going to come, and at 2:11 in the afternoon, we're going to have a full solar eclipse that we can see in this country. Now, our daughter in South Korea, she won't be able to see it, okay? That's a whole nother story. But we will be able to see it. And if you're, I think in Indiana, is it Indiana? There's a state that you can, it'll be really, really clear. So, because they'll go right over. And it's supposed to be traveling over, because the path is always the same too, right? Every 651 years. So I'm going to explain this to you and it's going to blow your mind. But April 8th, 2024 is eclipse number 1. And it always has been eclipse number 1. It always will be eclipse number 1. You can go back in time and it was there. You can go forward and it was there. It will be there. I know that in 18 years, 10 and 11 days, that eclipse number 1 will show up again. It will be there and we will be able to predict it down to the minute, right? Down to the second. It's a timestamp. And that is really an amazing thing. But it doesn't stop there because there are 18 18-year cycles that make up 325 years. Okay? And in that 18-year cycles that consist of 325 years, this number 1 is the beginning of the 10th 18-year cycle. The 10th. So there's been 9 18-year cycles. This is the very beginning, the very first, number 1 of the 10th 18-year cycle. So it is really amazing. I think we're in year 163-164, okay, of 325 years. And then you have another 18-year cycles that consist of 326 years. And why is that? Why is that? Because God has a perfect clock in the sky. Because 18 plus 18 is 36. 360 degrees, 36 cycles, 36 constellations, which is the decan. When those 18-year cycles go for 36 rounds, they cover all 36 constellations in the heavens, and then they have self-same days. Then they are on the exact same date, at the exact same time, with the exact same path. It's amazing. And they start another 651-year great astronomical year. It's called a 651-year gay. Something to really be gay about. Not gay in the sense of these sex cults, but to be happy. To be happy that 651 years make a great astronomical year cycle. And that is, I know this is a little confusing if you're very interested in it. I definitely can text you what this is. This is year 163. This is the first half of 651 years. This is the 10th of the 10th. This is the 10th of the 10th. The 10th 651 year great astronomical cycles. How do we know that? How do we know that? Because we can trace it all backwards, because every eclipse is a timestamp and it has been recorded, and the 7-day week has never been broken. And it's not only the eclipse cycle, but of course the moon, when it phases, it is also a timestamp, and we can follow that back. And then when Mercury and Venus cross the sun. It's called a transit. We have those dates that are timestamps, and that goes back in time. That goes forward in time. It is a pattern. It is a timestamp. There's a great clock in the heaven. Don't let anyone tell you it's pagan. It's the work of God, an amazing, intelligent God that created us and gave us timestamps. And why? Through this whole thing with Richard, one thing I learned is that the Department of Justice works on timestamps. Without timestamps, there's no Department of Justice. Okay? And so many things can be manipulated. Our missing persons at the Attorney General's in Chihuahua, Mexico, Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico, was tampered with, right? Richard's file was tampered with. Um, you know, our broadcast can be shadow banned. It can be tampered with. You know, there's so many things that can be tampered with. Richard's remains were tampered with. The autopsy reports were tampered with. The witnesses were tampered with. The whistleblowers were tampered with. The monies coming out of funds that are supposed to go to victims are being tampered with and given to people that are not victims. So that can all, they can manipulate, they can commit the crimes, they can tamper, but you know what? They cannot tamper with God's clock in the sky. The stars in their course fought against Sisera because the stars in the sky are timestamps. They are acts of justice. They, and that's how they win. We will win. We will win because we have the truth and we don't have fear. And I'm not fearful of an eclipse. I am going to celebrate that eclipse. Get out the champagne, right? Because that eclipse is number one, that has been number one every 18 years for centuries since the creation. Matter of fact, it goes back to the prime year, right? It's Adam's. It's when Adam was made. This is the first eclipse he saw. That's how amazing this day is. So you need to celebrate it and don't be afraid of it. So I had a lot of comments about April 8th, a lot of fear surrounding it. There's a lot of false, and people might want to use it and people might want to be criminal, but it's not the eclipse that's making them criminal, right? It's because they're up to no good, because they have hearts of stone, and absolutely these hearts of stone are up to no good. And, this fighting for what's beautiful, fighting for justice, absolutely is what made Richard a whistleblower, what made Richard stand up for the children, against the child pornography, what made Richard stand up against the weapons trafficking, the theft of the American people. Those are our guns. Those are our guns that are being trafficked, that are being smuggled and sold over the border for profit. And then they're using the likes of Dreams Cabaret and other LLCs, and hopefully it's not El Paso Community Foundation, right? That they're using to launder this money. Yeah, I want to launder money, but I don't want to pay taxes. Give me a 501c3. Give me a 509a3. I hope that's not the case. But this is this fine-tuned criminal network, and something is going on, because don't forget that it is El Paso Community Foundation that put forth the funding to get it together in 2020 to create El Paso Matters. Okay, and there's other things going on with that. So um, I hope that makes sense. And I think that's really, really important to stay vigilant, to stay hopeful, to not be afraid. Um, life is a risk. Life is a risk. But when you have a savior that has conquered death, you have nothing to fear. And you move forward. And then you can move forward for Richard. Then you can move forward for Glendon Oakley Jr. Then you can move forward against the Department of Justice that is this humongous funded monster. Then you can move against, I shouldn't say move against, I should say you can drive them. You can drive them to give you justice. You can drive them to give you answers to do the right thing. And so we want to know where our son's remains are. Why did you hide them from us? Why did you hide the fact that he was murdered, that he was a whistleblower? Why? And wherever the implications, because we feel like we kind of know why, then that needs to happen. That needs to happen. And the people that are up to no good, they might not know this, but their soul is crying out like the rocks cry out. They're crying out for justice. And for us to deny them accountability, no matter what the punishment is to do harm to their soul, to their spirit. So, and to do harm to the community that will allow this criminality to grow and fester and to destroy so many people and children and economies and the land. Don't forget about the land. So, thank you so much for coming on, and we will be back tomorrow night. God bless. Bye bye.